Throughout history, cultures around the world have told tales of terrifying and awe-inspiring creatures, monsters that lurk in the shadows, guard sacred places, or challenge the bravest of heroes. From the fire-breathing dragons of Europe to the shape-shifting yoki of Japan, these mythical beasts embody the fears, beliefs, and imaginations of their people. This series will explore some of the most legendary monsters of mythology, uncovering their origins, powers, and the stories that keep them alive to this day. Welcome to Myth and Lores, a journey into the dark and divine. Without further ado, let's jump into another lore. The lore and myths surrounding sirens are dark and mysterious, filled with tragic beauty, seduction, and death. Though the concept of sirens has evolved, the earliest tales often paint them as malevolent beings who prey on sailors and wanderers, leading them to their doom. The earliest references to sirens come from the Greek mythology. Though they weren't always the half-bird, half-woman creatures we think of today, initially, sirens were often depicted as beautiful, dangerous women with bird-like features, sometimes as full birds or with the upper bodies of women and the lower bodies of birds. Homer's Odyssey is one of the most famous texts featuring sirens. In this epic, Odysseus and his men encounter the sirens while journeying home after the Trojan War. The sirens sing haunting, seductive songs that lure sailors towards the rocks where their ships are wrecked and they are drowned. To avoid this fate, Odysseus orders his men to plug their ears with beeswax and has himself tied to the mast of his ship so he cannot act on his desires to follow their voices. The sirens' song are so compelling that they push Odysseus to madness, but he cannot escape their pull. The Orgonautica by Apollonius of Rhodes presents a slightly different version. The Argonauts escape the sirens by hearing Orpheus play his lyre, which drowns out their song. In both cases, the sirens' songs are depicted as irresistible, capable of ensnaring even the most determined minds. Their beauty, mixed with danger, encapsulates the duality of allure and depth that defines their mythology. At their core, sirens are harbingers of death. Their songs are not just tempting, they are lethal. The idea that they lure sailors to their deaths symbolizes the fatal attraction of dangerous beauty and unavoidable pull toward destruction that can never be resisted. This association with death is tied to the themes of fate and the predestination in Greek mythology, where forces beyond their control often doom mortals. Sirens also embody the dark side of feminine power, sexuality, and seduction. Their beauty is their weapon, and they use it to manipulate and to destroy. This is an ancient metaphor for the fear of female sexuality, often portrayed in myth as something both seductive and dangerous. The idea of a woman who is simultaneously nurturing and deadly is a recurrent theme in many mythologies, and the siren is one of its most haunting incarnations. Over time, the depiction of sirens evolved, with them sometimes being transformed into mermaids or aquatic creatures. In these later versions, they lose their bird-like features, but the sense of tragedy and the promise of death remains. There are theories that this transformation mirrors the loss of more primal, savage aspect of the siren, as stories of sailors' peril on the seas evolved into more romanticized, human-like depictions of mermaids. The siren songs are often described as promising knowledge, fulfillment, or realizing a sailor's deepest desires. For Odysseus, their song is a promise of lost wisdom, of hearing the secrets of the world, but it's an illusion. Their song is a mask for their true purpose, to destroy anyone who falls prey to them. The idea of desire leading to death is central to many mythological traditions, as it reflects humanity's complex relationship with longing and morality. As the myth of the Sirens spread through Western culture, their image began to blend with other figures of myth, such as mermaids, witches, and even vampires. In medieval and Renaissance art, sirens were often depicted as beautiful but tragic figures, sometimes showing them weeping as they caused sailors' deaths. This image highlights their role as victims and villains, cursed to sing their songs of death even as they yearn for something they can never possess. In literature, sirens began to symbolize the dangers of forbidden knowledge and temptation. In later works, like those of Romantic poets or Victorian literature, sirens may represent unattainable or repressed desires with tragic outcomes. Today, the siren myth captivates artists, writers, and filmmakers. In modern interpretations, sirens are often used to explore themes of forbidden allure and the consequences of desire. Films, novels, and music videos frequently depict sirens as femme fatales, beautiful but deadly women who entrap men or lead them to destruction. Yet, there's also a growing trend of reimagining the siren as a more sympathetic figure, sometimes exploring her as a victim of circumstances or the embodiment of unfulfilled longing. In some postmodern interpretations, sirens are presented as tragic, misunderstood creatures, both prey and predator. The beauty and allure of the siren, once solely linked to death, is now seen as a complex and multifaceted, perhaps even as an expression of empowerment or an analogy for the dangers of unrestrained desire. The dark lore of sirens weaves together themes of death, seduction, transformation, and power. These mythological creatures remain a compelling symbol of the irresistible force of temptation and the destruction of consequences of yielding to desires that cannot be fulfilled. In a sense, the sirens are both a warning and a reflection of the dangers within human nature itself, tempting, tragic, and ultimately doomed to bring those who listen too close to their end. That concludes this lore. If you like what you heard, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next lore. Bye.